Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I wanted to talk about the Nintendo Direct that came out yesterday. Originally, I didn't really want to talk about it. I was going to make a video yesterday, but then I didn't. And I just kept thinking about it. So I decided I was going to pull up my computer and record a little bit my thoughts about it. One of the reasons why I couldn't stop thinking about it was how my opinion changed over time since it came out until today. Originally, I was watching it passively at my gym while in between workouts, and really at first, like I said, I was impressed. I was like, wow, they're doing a lot of stuff for Mario, but then you would, think about it more, you realize it was not that much. I was like, oh, cool, new Mario movie, Super Mario Galaxy 2, upgrades for Wonder and some of the other games. And there were other, sprinkles of cool things here and there. And I'm going to go over everything that Nintendo decided to put out in a second here. But over time, I was like, man, is this really the first legit Nintendo Switch Direct that we're getting for the new console? Like, this is spelling out basically the first full year of the console. And there was nothing really new. There wasn't really anything that we found out that we didn't already know outside of a couple of okay games. So yeah, that's why I decided to make this video. We're going to dive more about the implications of this Direct later on, but let's start off with what we did see. So we did see, obviously, the trailer for the Super Mario Galaxy movie. It was not much of a trailer. It basically just announced the cast, talked a bunch about Mario. And because of that, they're also releasing Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 as a bundle. I thought it was for $40, but people are saying that it might be $70. And if it's $70, that's fucking nuts. That's way too much. I'm going to talk more about affordability in a little bit, but this has to be $40. Because there's no way that it's going to be $70 for the Switch 2 version. Like, it can't be. So, I don't know. Maybe somebody in the comments can chime in and let me know if that is the case. You know what? I'm going to research that. So, I just looked it up. It is... it's $70. Wow. Yeah, I mean, that you can tell that this is aimed towards people who have never played it before. Probably towards the kids. They're probably doing it for the movie and towards the kids that, see the movie and want to play the game and they've never done it. But the fact that you can play already half of that game in a bundle that came out 5 years ago with 2 other great Mario games, and that bundle was already underwhelming at $60. $70 is it's a hard hit. I don't know. Yeah, $70 is crazy. Either way, there's Mario Tennis Fever as well. That one looks like a pretty good Mario game. That should have been the game that Mario Tennis Aces was, which, that game wasn't too terrible, but a little lackluster. I mentioned the upgrades for Nintendo Switch 2 for Super Mario Wonder, which doesn't look like it's adding much outside of, just upgrades and then a multiplayer mode, but maybe they'll do something extra with that. The new Yoshi's Story, which isn't really called Yoshi's Story, it's called Yoshi and the Talking Book or some shit like that. Mysterious Book. Yoshi and the Mysterious Book. I haven't been loving the approach of essentially making Yoshi the baby game. Yoshi's my favorite Mario character, which are, people that watch this channel and that know me know that. And the past couple Yoshi games have been kind of like, easy baby modes. Hopefully it goes back to the original Yoshi's Island type of vibe. Looks like it's doing that. The art style looks really nice. And that's, by the way, that we're 20 minutes into that direct with just those announcements. What is that? 3 new games. And then we go into a sizzle reel, a bunch of third-party games that I don't really care about. If you do, hey, you're buying a $500 console for indies. There's one game that did look kind of cool. It was Dincum, but it basically looked like Splatoon mixed with like those mobile Candy Crush games. I feel like I'm underselling it a little bit, but it does look nice. And then they had Tomodachi Life, which I don't really care about either. But for Tomodachi Life fans, good for them. By the way, we knew about this game already, so they're just giving us a release date, kind of a release date. They just said spring 2026. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, again, we knew about it. Final Fantasy VII Remake Retrograde, or Intergrade. This looks, like it looks like it's a good port of it because it looks really nice. And it's coming January of next year. But again, we have other platforms where I would most likely want to play it on over this. I do get the portability helps a lot with like those kind of, RPGs that could be take a little while to finish. I think that's why, Switch has been an RPG or JRPG machine, even since the first Switch, because you can sink so many extra hours, at the park or, taking a shit or at work when you're supposed to be doing work, like how I'm supposed to be doing right now. So, I guess in that regard, it's cool. But for people like me who don't really care, and also if I'm paying for a game, I would want it to look really, really good. I would probably want it on my PS5 or PC, and I can get them cheaper over there. And then after that, again, a bunch of other indies. Hades 2 was released, or they put a trailer out for that, and that looks really good. So, kind of hyped for that one a little bit. And then they gave us some more information about Kirby Riders. It does look good, but to be honest, I don't know if I want to spend $70 on that game. So I'm probably going to wait a while for it. And then they had Hyrule Warriors. Again, these are games that we know about. This was cool, but again, not for me. But Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, that looked really good. But again, I'm probably never going to buy it because I don't fuck with that. And then they announced, probably to me, the weirdest announcement for this Direct is the Virtual Boy for the expansion pack. But you can only use it if you buy, and I just found this out, that accessory, which is $100, unless you want to buy the cardboard version for $25. An already niche console that has a weak library of games is going to be behind a paywall of $100 for a system, or for an accessory that's going to be obsolete after the service is gone, which could last maybe the life cycle of the Switch 2, because who knows if they're going to continue this after the Switch 2. Mind-boggling stuff here. Suffice it to say, I'm not going to get that crap. Next, they announced Fatal Frame 2. Again, a game that we kind of already knew about. We didn't know it was coming to the Switch, but either way, I'm probably not buying it for the Switch because I have my PS5 and it's going to be released there. Looks great, though. I'm excited for that game whenever it comes out. And then another sizzle reel of, mouse-related games that you can buy extremely discounted on Steam that will run on a decent laptop, like Power Wash Simulator. And then they announced what seemed to me like a pretty lackluster DLC for $20. Mind you, this game's already $70, and I paid that. But they announced it for DK Bonanza, which you get the original DK Island and kind of like a collection mode where basically you're collecting emeralds instead of gold this time, but it's the same crap. It's just green. That looked cool to me, but not for $20. I do want to. I might be a sucker to get it just because I really like DK Bonanza, but I do think it was kind of fucked up. And then they announced Pokemon Pocopokia. Hold on, Pokopia, which is like a Minecraft Pokemon game. Pokemon Pokopia. It's like a Minecraft Pokemon game. It looked interesting. It's not interesting if it's going to be more than $50 though. And then they gave us some more information about... Oh, they gave us paid DLC for Pokemon ZA, which hasn't come out yet, which is going to be $20. Mind you, the game's coming out at $70. This shit is getting depressing and expensive. And then they did Danganronpa. Don't care. Dynasty Warriors Origins. Don't care. Monster Hunter Stories 3, they gave it a date. Don't care. Sizzle reel for a bunch of third-party stuff like FIFA and all that garbage. And then they did Resident Evil 9 Requiem, and then announced Resident Evil 7 and 8. And then they finished the direct off with a new Fire Emblem, which I don't care. In 65 minutes, they announced 6 first-party games. Actually, just 5, because Hades 2 isn't a first-party game, but I considered it a first-party game because they're probably going to do what they did last time, which is release it on the Switch and then release it later on other consoles. But 5 first-party games. And yeah, they talked about other stuff like Metroid Prime, but again, these are all games that we knew about. These are brand new announcement, 5 games in 65 minutes. One out of those 5 games is an expensive re-release for Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. So we're talking about 4 new games. Yoshi, Pokemon Pocopokia, Fire Emblem, and Mario Tennis. Those are our 4 games that we're going to be looking forward to until summer of next year. That's pathetic. And on top of all of that, they decide to release 2 overpriced and under-delivering DLCs, and then just a bunch of games that we can get anywhere else for a way better value and quality. Like, I'm about to go on a rant here and say that the handheld shtick that the Nintendo Switch 1 has lost its magic. They can't overcharge for these freaking games anymore and expect people to want to buy them because the magic is 8 years old. We have more competition in the handheld space. There's way more accessibility for games than ever before, and they've lost really any reason for anything to be compelling. And the first year of the Switch, the launch was underwhelming. It did come out with Breath of the Wild, which, cross-gen platform, but nobody really had a Wii U. But within the first couple of months, I'm going to point out, I'm going to pull up a list of games that were released within the first year of the Switch's life. Sorry. Yeah, I'll put it to you this way. In the first year of the Nintendo Switch 1's life, we had Breath of the Wild, 1-2 Switch, which I don't care about that. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, ARMS, Splatoon 2, Fire Emblem Warriors, Super Mario Odyssey, Xenoblade Chronicles 2, Bayonetta 2 and Bayonetta 1 in a release. And then you had extra games like Snipper Clips, a bunch of third-party stuff, Shovel Knight. They also have Kirby Star Allies, and then the Pokemon Tournament DX. And mind you, none of these games had expensive DLC or anything like that, and they were all announced a couple of months after the Switch 1's release. And on top of all of that, the Switch 1 had the novelty of it being a powerful console that you can take anywhere. And like I said earlier, that novelty is gone. Not to say nobody cares about that anymore, but it's not the only reason why people will pick up games. It's just these kind of decisions that make it harder and harder and harder for me to want to invest more in this console. And I just got it. I just got it. I'm not trying to be super negative here. Like, I understand the Switch 2's purpose. I understand that it's a continuation console, but it really, Nintendo's treating the Nintendo Switch 2 like a Nintendo Switch Pro and not like its own standalone console. And I think that's what's really frustrating to me. Because it's not like they're making it easy for people either. I'll put it to you this way. I made this argument before, but the PS5 is just a PS4 Pro plus plus plus. But it has its own first-party games. Yeah, it's taken a little while to get there. But on top of that, they've introduced a lot more with the PlayStation Extra and Premium, which makes the console feel very, very valuable because you have access to a bunch of games for a low monthly subscription service. Compared to the expansion pack, Nintendo Switch Online, which, yes, it is much cheaper. But no, like, I really don't know anybody who plays those games, on top of the fact that all of those games are very easily emulated. That's another thing I wanted to say. There were no announcements for Nintendo Switch Online GameCube. None. That platform only has 4 games. And that's what they should be really pushing towards, getting more releases. Because it's easy. But yeah, back to that analogy. PS5 also constantly has so many deals for their games. Astrobot, even though it doesn't go on sale as often, does go on sale every now and again. Their DLC was free. Fantastic game. The value proposition for the two systems are incomparable. You can't compare the two. You have a almost $500 system with $70, $80 games that aren't living up to their price. There is no existing library of games that makes sense for you to buy, because you can buy most of those other games on other platforms. They're still not putting any of their Switch 1 games on sale, which I think they should do heavily, because a lot of people are wanting to play those Switch 1 games, but they don't want to play those prices. The only thing that Nintendo has done within the past 5-10 years, I'm going to put 5 years, that has made sense price-wise was Metro Prime Remastered at $40. Quality port, quality remaster, and a great price. If you've never played it, that's a game that you should go buy right now. I'm rambling at this point, and to be honest, I don't even know what else to say about it, but I think that just to go to show you why I couldn't stop thinking about it. The more I thought about the Direct, the less I was enthused, the less I was happy about having a Switch 2. To be honest, my original assessment of the game was buy it 2 Black Fridays from now on sale, or get it with a game that's bundled, that's released in the future that you like. Because the first year of this console is anemic, it's lackluster, it's very sad. Shit, even Mario Kart World is getting outperformed by Sonic Racing. By a beta at that. I don't even think the real game is released. I might be wrong about that, but who cares? At the end of the day, I committed to this thing. I was excited to get it. There was a reason why I bought it. My reason was for it to replace my Switch 1 that I sold a year ago. But this trend of not meeting with the fans and diminishing on quality and increasing price is really going to catch up to Nintendo. And it may be another, Wii U situation where maybe not. I don't know. The Switch is a household name at this point, but the Wii U did have the issue where everybody who was going to buy it bought it up at front, and then the sales quickly dropped. I think the only added benefit that they have is that their handheld consoles always do well. Even the 3DS with its diminished sales still sold like 85 million copies or units or whatever. So I think condensing their business model to have just the handheld console and have it be the main thing that they're releasing really worked out. But let's see if it lasts, and I can only hope that they continue to do so. The other thing I can hope is that somebody figures out how to mod this shit out of this console so I can do whatever the fuck I want with it. But yeah, watch the Nintendo Switch Direct, make your own opinion about it. If you disagree with me, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. This was a fun one. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you in the next one.